ये तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रूंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रूंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है।
अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा और मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Hi. Good morning
Hi, how
to
are
you.
you?
Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and
Yes.
you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion, so there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims, but the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump has backed down to an important extent. Everything about Trump and trade is erratic, not sensible, not accomplishing any U.S. goals, but better 18% tariffs than 50% tariffs or 500% tariffs. But I wouldn't take at face value any single statement by the U.S. government. I think everything is just complete improvisation, a lot of baloney, a lot of malarkey. But probably...
We are not giving them access to their GMO. We are not giving them access in a wide range of areas where we are Atmanirbhar in agriculture. But are we getting a greater advantage? What it means to the medium farmer in India?
In any transaction, if you respect each other's sensitivities, you can go far. And every country has certain USPs. The American USP at a $90,000 per capita income are vastly different from India's USPs. So the trade-off is not always straight 1:1. It's always
complex.
It's always a holistic whole.
Correct.
You balance one against the other. You trade off the areas of interest of one country with the areas of interest in India, and that's how you prepare a balanced deal.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो
मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है।
अरे मेरे राजा।
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese intrusions, which had culminated in the Galwan incident, in which 19 Indian soldiers had lost their lives. No weapons had been used, but the Chinese had laid an ambush with pointed stones, with baseball bats wrapped up with barbed wire and nails and studded with lethal handheld weapons. You see, 19 Indians had been killed, but in response our soldiers had given an excellent account of themselves in hand-to-hand combat. And it is said that 45, some claim up to 100 Chinese soldiers were killed, which they tried to hide by saying they had lost just 5 soldiers. The simple fact is that after this violent incident leading to 19 fatalities on the Indian side, we should have thrown the 1996 Peace and Tranquility Accord into the bloody dustbin. Dustbin. Because that accord says that you can't use your weapons. And then you have to get into unseeming boxing matches, kushti matches, karate, this thing, and then start using sticks and stones and all that primitive Stone Age weapons. But you can't open fire. Why not? Why can't you open fire? Because you are defending your territory. And if the other side has drawn blood, it is not just a matter of dhakka mukki now. Well, I think that any local commander is fully justified in giving his troops the right to open fire in self-defense. In self-defense. Now, what happened?
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Ishita Mitra. Let's get you all the stories that have dominated the headlines today and the stories that matter to you. Now, first up, we discuss the massive allegations put forward by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Escalates against Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi and his wife Elizabeth, exposing their Pakistan links. Now, we also take a look at Gogoi's response to these massive allegations. Now, viewers, next up, we also take a look at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's successful two-day visit to Malaysia, wherein the two sides unveiled several initiatives to boost their cooperation in areas of defense as well as security. Now, in fact, we also have how former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh was sacked from his post of Executive Director at Leelavati Hospital for allegedly forging documents. We get you all the details on that. And next up, we also have details of the knife attack by a teenager in Russia, Ufa region. This is where Indian students have also been impacted. Now, after this, we also discuss how a swing collapse at Surajkund Mela in Haryana's Faridabad killed a police officer while injuring several others. Now, whose fault was it and where is the investigation headed in the case? We get you all the details on that. And lastly, another case of civic apathy has cost lives of two labourers after a scaffolding collapsed at an under-construction building in Noida. So as the Republic continues to talk about the progress for the people, we bring you all the details on this story in case negligence is costing lives of the people. All that lined up for you ahead. And now let's get started. Now, viewers, first up, Assam's Chief Minister Himanta Escalates has stepped up his attack on Congress leader Gaurav Gogoi, making a series of serious allegations involving Gogoi and his wife's alleged link with a Pakistani agent. Now, Sharma claims that the Assam Police's special investigation team has found some disturbing inputs suggesting that an anti-India conspiracy is at play. He says the matter is now too sensitive for the state to handle alone. The Assam cabinet, in fact, has now decided to refer the case to the Ministry of Home Affairs, seeking a central agency probe. Here are all the details on the story. Take a look.
Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has accused Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi and his wife of having links with Pakistani agent Ali Taqir Sheikh. CM Himanta claimed Sheikh visited India 13 times between 2010 and 2013 during the UPA government's tenure.
Elizabeth Galwan Gogoi visits, if you see the timeline, from July 13 to March 3, 2012, she visited 3 times from Islamabad to Delhi, accompanied by Ali Taqir Sheikh. So Ali Taqir Sheikh used to came to India, and Elizabeth is always accompanied by the Ali Taqir in his 3 visits.
Gaurav Gogoi, however, dismissed the allegations, calling the Chief Minister's press conference a super flop. Listen in to what Gogoi had to say.
The Chief Minister thinks that the people of Assam do not have any intelligence, do not have any knowledge. So he should respect the people of Assam. People of Assam know who is the ultimate deceitful Chief Minister, most misolia Mukhyamantri, sabse jhoot bolne wala Mukhyamantri, people of Assam very well know. And people of Assam will decide concisively and decisively in the upcoming assembly election to throw out Himanta Biswa Sarma from the CM's chair.
Himanta alleged that Sheikh deleted all his tweets after the Assam police formed a special investigation team to probe the case.
The most important thing and the damaging thing, what Ali Taqir was doing through Elizabeth. Elizabeth used to gather various activities surrounding India, including the climate actions, the India's government response to climates, how things can be done. So she used to give reports to the Pakistan.
He said Sheikh often tagged Elizabeth Gogoi, Gaurav Gogoi's wife, on social media before suddenly wiping off his online presence. There is also a claim that Elizabeth worked in Pakistan and travelled to Islamabad several times.
মাৰ্চ 18, 2011 তাৰিখে Elizabeth Galwan Gogoi came to Pakistan and joined there as a consultant. আৰু যিটো contract period আছিলে, the contract period was from March 18 to March 17, 2012.
According to Himanta, Elizabeth shared sensitive information about India with Sheikh and that a bank account was also maintained by her in Pakistan. He further claimed that Gaurav Gogoi also visited Pakistan in 2013 and remained digitally silent during his 10-day stay.
He visited Pakistan December 14, 2013 to December 2024. At that point of time, Gaurav was residing in the residence of Chief Minister of Assam. So this was a confidential visit. Before, up to December 2013, he was active in social media. On return, December 25th, he started his social media. But that 10 days was digitally, he was silenced.
Citing sensitive findings, Himanta said the Assam cabinet will now refer the case to MHA for a central agency probe.
And now viewers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day official visit to Malaysia has given fresh momentum to the India-Malaysia comprehensive strategic partnership. And this with both the sides now announcing key initiatives to deepen their cooperation across multiple sectors, including security as well as defense. Here's a detailed report. Take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Malaysia has strengthened the efforts to translate the upgraded comprehensive strategic partnership into concrete outcomes. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim described his talks with PM Modi as vital, strategic and critical, underlining the growing importance of bilateral ties. Delegation-level discussions led to the exchange of 11 documents and several key announcements aimed at boosting cooperation across the sectors. Prime Minister Modi termed the relationship special, highlighting shared democratic values and deep cultural linkage between the two nations. Among major initiatives announced was the opening of an Indian Consulate General in Malaysia, enhancing the diplomatic outreach. Both sides also agreed on cross-border digital payments, linking India's NPCI International Payments Limited with Malaysia's PayNet. Along with the Malaysian delegation, PM Modi also met people of Indian diaspora. Concluding the visit, Prime Minister Modi expressed gratitude for the warm and exceptional welcome extended to him in Kuala Lumpur. The visit marks a significant step in advancing India-Malaysia ties, setting the stage for closer cooperation in the years ahead.
And now viewers, former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh is back in the spotlight, and this time in a forgery row involving a Leelavati hospital. Now Parambir Singh has filed an FIR against the hospital's trustees alleging forgery and misappropriation of funds. The trustees have denied all of those charges, calling them a conspiracy, and in fact have sacked Singh from his post. Now with claims and counterclaims coming in from both the sides, the matter is now under investigation. Take a look at this report.
Controversial former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh is back in the spotlight, this time in a forgery case. The same officer who was earlier sacked from the commissioner's post for allegedly filing false cases. The controversy erupted after Parambir filed an FIR against the trustees of Leelavati Hospital, alleging forgery and misappropriation of funds. Parambir explicitly named the hospital trustees in his complaint, allegations the trustees have dismissed as a diabolical conspiracy. In a counter move, the trustees have now sacked the former IPS officer from his post as executive director, citing alleged forgery. With allegations flying from both sides, investigators will now determine where the truth lies in this escalating legal battle.
And now viewers, Indian students were injured in a knife attack carried out by a 15-year-old teenager in Russia's Ufa region. Now 2 police officers were also injured as the teenager was resisting arrest. Reports say that the teenager was in fact shouting Nazi slogans during the attack. Indian embassy has now assured help to the injured students. Here's a report on how this knife attack unfolded. Take a look.
A 15-year-old teenager entered dormitory of State Medical University in Russia's Ufa city and went on a stabbing spree. In that deadly attack, 4 Indian students were injured. CCTV of the stabbing has now gone viral and the visuals are disturbing. The teenager was reportedly shouting Nazi slogans about the Holocaust. He also drew a Nazi symbol with the blood of one of the injured. When police arrived at the scene, the teenager resisted arrest. Amid the struggle, 2 police officials were also injured and the teenager sustained self-inflicted wounds. The 4 Indian students were rushed to the hospital along with the attacker. Indian embassy in Russia is now in touch with the authorities and have assured assistance to the Indian students. All India Medical Students Association has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi appealing for the safety and protection of Indian medical students in Russia.
So, as you know, we wrote a letter to the Honorable PM yesterday in which we demanded the safety and the security of the Indian medical students studying in the Bishik Medical University, Ufa, the city of Russia. And also we have demanded the emergency helpline in case of the situation will get more worse. As you know, on the 7th Feb, there was a knife attack on the Indian medical students which were doing MBBS in the Bishik University. And the attack was carried by a knife and also some explosives. And the victims were Harideep, Avinash, Harshvardhan and also the Gaurav, who is very critically, he's in ICU.
Mom, I want to understand from you, you are saying that not only knife but explosives were also used in the attack?
Yeah, explosives like some firecrackers.
The exact reason of the attack is yet to be ascertained, as Russian authorities undertake a detailed probe into the matter.
And now viewers, the Surajkund International Crafts Festival in Faridabad will continue as scheduled today despite a tragic accident taking place at the fairground. Now a joyful ride collapsed at the Mela, claimed the life of a police officer and left 13 others injured. Now viewers, while the main festival remains open, officials have temporarily shut down the amusement ride area and also ordered a detailed safety review. The incident has sparked serious concerns over safety arrangements at the popular cultural event. Here are more details on this tragic incident. Take a look.
The 39th Surajkund International Crafts Festival will go on as a planned despite a fatal accident at the venue. Following the tragedy, the district administration ordered the immediate closure of the amusement ride zone.
इसी जगह पे सुनामी स्विंग करके एक झूला यहाँ पे लगा हुआ था। रोजाना की तरह लोग यहाँ पे झूला झूलने आए हुए थे, लेकिन कल शाम 6 बजे के आसपास अचानक से झूले का जो एक पार्ट है वो टूटता है, जिसके कारण इस पूरे हिस्से में अफरा तफरी का माहौल बन जाता है। क्योंकि हरियाणा पुलिस के इंस्पेक्टर यहाँ पे मौजूद थे, वो अपनी ड्यूटी दे रहे थे, उसी दौरान वो लोगों को बचाने के लिए जाते हैं, लेकिन झूले का जो एक पार्ट है उनके ऊपर लगता है, जिसके कारण वो घायल हो जाते हैं। उनको अस्पताल ले जाया जाता है, लेकिन तब तक उनकी मृत्यु हो जाती है।
Officials say the ride area will remain shut until safety checks and investigations are completed.
जो अपेरेंट मैकेनिकल फेलियर जो है इसके लिए जो है एडीसी की कमेटी गठित हुई है और इसमें जो है रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो है चाहे वेंडर की या किसी भी कमेटी मेंबर की वो जरूर एग्जामिन करके.
The accident occurred around 6:15 p.m. yesterday when a joyride suddenly collapsed at the Surajkund Mela.
हम लोग दुकान में बिजी थी तो एक बार ट्रक से आवाज आई तो हम लोगों ने क्या बात हुई तो लोग कहीं भागे कहीं अंदर आए मतलब तो बोले कि झूला टूट गया. कोई नुकसान तो नहीं करता, नुकसान कुछ नहीं हुआ, जो सब ठीक लटके हुए हैं, बस इतनी से हम लोग पता. फिर तो उसके बाद फिर क्या दोबारा ठक से फिर आवाज आई. फिर मैं अब क्या हुआ तो बोले कि जो है झूला टूट के नीचे गिर गई तो 2-3 आदमी का चोट लग गया ज्यादा. बस यही हम लोग नहीं जाओ. उसके बाद एम्बुलेंस आई तो एम्बुलेंस से सब लोग के लेके गए.
A police inspector lost his life after being hit on the face and head while trying to save people as the ride tilted.
जो सेफ्टी मेजर्स थे वो रेगुलरली लिए जा रहे थे. प्रशासन ने टेक्निकल टीम जो है वो गठित करी हुई थी और वो टीम जो है डेली झूले जो परिसर है उसमें जो है चेक करके अपने सर्टिफिकेट्स देती थी और उसके बाद ही जो है राइड संपन्न होती थी. बट प्रशासन ने जो है एक एडीसी लेवल की टीम जो है कमेटी गठित करी है इस पूरे प्रक्रिया को जांच करने के लिए और इसमें जो भी कमी पेशी आएगी उसके ऊपर आगे जो है नियमानुसार कार्रवाई होगी. साथ ही साथ जो है इंसिडेंट के ऊपर एफआईआर भी जो है दर्ज करा दी गई है.
Around 13 people were injured in the incident and were rushed to hospital for treatment. Authorities have confirmed that an FIR will be registered and action will be taken against the joyride operator. Haryana Chief Minister Naib Saini expressed condolences and directed officials to ensure proper care for the injured.
And now, viewers, as Republic continues to talk about the progress for the people, a tragic case of civic negligence has come to light. 2 labourers killed after the centering of an under-construction building collapsing in Uttar Pradesh's Noida. 2 fatalities have been reported so far, with one of the labourers severely injured. Here are details about this incident. Take a look.
A major tragedy unfolded in Noida after the centering of an under-construction building collapsed. 3 labourers working at the site fell and sustained serious injuries after the collapse.
Right now we are standing at plot number 27 of sector 144 Noida, where just today there were 2 labourers who were working on this very netting that we are showing you in our frame right now. From there both those labourers fell down and they lost their lives. Now this is a case of scaffolding collapsing in an under construction building in Noida, where another case.
All injured workers were rushed to hospital where 2 were declared dead on arrival. 1 labourer remains hospitalized and is undergoing treatment. Police clarified that no building or residential structure collapsed. Only the centering gave way.
सर तीसरा केस है जो भी सामने आया है नोएडा में. इससे पहले भी कुछ 2-3 हफ्ते पहले भी ऐसा केस आया था. आपको क्या लगता है, क्या दिक्कत आ रही है, क्या ऐसा गैप आ रहा है रूल्स फॉलो करने में या कंस्ट्रक्शन रूल्स फॉलो करने में कि बार बार नोएडा ऐसे हादसे देख रहा है?
ये घटना अलग प्रकृति की है और प्रत्येक घटना के पीछे जो भी कारण होते हैं उनकी जांच की जाती है और ये इंश्योर किया जाता है कि भविष्य में इस प्रकार से पुनरावृत्ति ना हो.
The deceased and injured workers are from Bhagalpur in Bihar. In one family, 1 member died while another was injured, triggering anguish among relatives. The injured workers' wife said the family had been working at the site for the past 2 years.
वो मेरे जेठ है.
जेठ है और एक दूसरे जो है
वो मेरे हस्बैंड है, मिथुन मेरे हस्बैंड है.
उनकी भी मौत हुई है?
नहीं, मौत नहीं हुई, उनका ट्रीटमेंट हो रहा है.
वो घायल हैं?
हाँ, वो घायल हैं.
एक जो है वो घायल हैं और एक जो आपके जेठ थे उनकी मौत?
हाँ, उनकी डेथ हो गई है.
कब, कैसे पता चला आपको कब?
मैं तो सर जॉब करने जहाँ जाती हूँ, मैं वहाँ पे थी, मुझे तो फ़ोन आया इसीलिए मैं दौड़ी चली आई. मुझे तो कुछ पता नहीं है.
किसने फ़ोन किया?
थे मेरे यहीं गाँव के.
अच्छा, गाँव से?
हाँ, गाँव से.
पुलिस ने अभी कुछ नहीं फ़ोन किया?
नहीं, पुलिस ने नहीं फ़ोन किया अभी.
अच्छा, कब से काम कर रहे थे यहाँ पे?
यहाँ पे तो लगभग हमको 2 साल हो गया.
Police have taken 2 contractors into custody for questioning. As authorities probe the collapse, the incident once again raises serious questions over construction safety and accountability in urban projects.
All right, viewers, that's all we could pack in. 6 stories at 6 with me, Shita Mitra. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned. News and developments continue on the other side.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, मसाला।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Hi, good morning
Hi,
to you.
how are you?
Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and
Yes.
you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion. So there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims. But the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump has backed down to an important extent. Everything about Trump and trade is erratic, not sensible, not accomplishing any U.S. goals, but better 18% tariffs than 50% tariffs or 500% tariffs. But I wouldn't take at face value any single statement by the U.S. government. I think everything is just complete improvisation, a lot of baloney, a lot of malarkey, but probably somebody has prevailed inside the White House to say, why antagonize India?
So what did Trump or what did America gain in the last
Nothing.
4 months of putting
Nothing.
pressure on India?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Whatever is agreed today could have been agreed before. Nothing is gained. There's no pressure. India has no, U.S. has no leverage on India.
Yeah, opposition has put out multiple videos. They're saying that while tariffs on Indian goods have gone up, which is a blatant lie, by the way, tariffs on US goods have been reduced to 0. Now, they've reduced this to simplistics, and hence there is a narrative issue.
It's really sour grapes, angur khatte. They are not able to reconcile with the fact that an absolutely wonderful trade deal has been entered into between the US and India. Possibly they are also worried that if lakhs and millions of our youth, our women power will get new opportunities, if the economy flourishes and does very well, they will further have to go down And maybe instead of the next 25 years, they're looking at 50 years in oblivion. So therefore, for them, it's a question of criticizing any and everything. So sadly, these can't see beyond that.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese intrusions, which had culminated in the Galwan incident, in which 19 Indian soldiers had lost their lives. No weapons had been used, but the Chinese had laid an ambush with pointed stones, with baseball bats wrapped up with barbed wire and nails and studded with lethal handheld weapons. You see, 19 Indians had been killed, but in response our soldiers had given an excellent account of themselves in hand-to-hand combat. And it is said that 45, some claim up to 100 Chinese soldiers were killed, which they tried to hide by saying they had lost just 5 soldiers. The simple fact is that after this violent incident leading to 19 fatalities on the Indian side, we should have thrown the 1996 Peace and Tranquility Accord into the bloody dustbin. Dustbin. Because that accord says that you can't use your weapons. And then you have to get into unseeming boxing matches, kushti matches, karate, this thing, and then start using sticks and stones and all that primitive Stone Age weapons. But you can't open fire. Why not? Why can't you?
Hi there, welcome back to your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This week a lot happened, from the announcement of India-US trade deal on foreign policy front to an unprecedented breach of convention when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was not allowed to speak in the motion of thanks to the President's address in Parliament. But those are news stories covered and dissected in detail. I focus on 3 topics that were big but went under the radar of news cycle. 1. China has come out of diplomatic hibernation courtesy a mercurial Donald Trump. January saw almost a dozen world leaders queue up before Xi Jinping for a shake hand and some deals. Let's look at the consequences. 2. India's big data sovereignty move happened through the budget this week. The rest of the world is also pivoting to secure its digital territories from an increasingly unpredictable American online hegemony. We go deeper. And finally, 3 weeks after elections, India's financial capital, Mumbai, is yet to get a mayor. Is it time for our metros to have a New York-style mayoral contests with the mayor not just a ceremonial first citizen, but the real chief executive of the city? Let's get going. It's been 3 weeks since elections were held for the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, the BMC, and India's financial capital, Mumbai, is still without a mayor. Actually, it does not make a difference, because as things stand today, a mayor is mere figurette. Governance does not stall in the absence of the city's first citizen. India's mayors are denied even basic executive functions. They have no say in planning for the city, budgeting or hiring, or supervising the bureaucracy. That job is done by the municipal commissioner reporting to the state capital. Even the theoretical powers that were devolved to mayors of municipal presidents as part of the 74th Amendment on Urban Local Bodies in 1994 have in practice stayed with the officers. Our cities are governed by a transferable set of bureaucrats who have no bonding or emotional connect with the place they work and live in. They do not call the city their home, and so are not possessed with making it a success. That perhaps is one reason why urban India is a morass that most of our cities are. Let it be said, most towns beyond the Indores and Agras are living hellholes where civic degeneration is cladded with non-existent accountability. Even Indore failed so spectacularly as we saw last month with the water contamination story. Has time come, hence, to fix one key aspect of our municipal governance, the issue of who leads our cities, who is the chief executive, where the buck stops? For sure, fixing the leadership question is not going to be the panacea of all that ails India's urban governance. But with a mayor as CEO, citizens would know where the buck stops, and the bureaucracy would know they can be held accountable. How many of us know that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was once the mayor or the president of the municipality of Allahabad from 1923 to 1925? Or Sardar Patel was the mayor of Ahmedabad for 4 years from 1924 to 1928. And Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the mayor of then Kolkata in 1930. One cannot imagine those freedom stalwarts subordinating themselves to a junior bureaucrat, even if from the ICS. Globally, New York has had famous mayors, from Fiorello LaGuardia during the Great Depression years, to Rudy Giuliani during the 9/11 emergency, to Michael Bloomberg a decade ago. Even the latest one, Zoran Mamdani, has hit headlines for his ideological reels and Trump baiting. Brazil had architect Jaime Lerner putting together the world's first bus rapid transport system as mayor of Curitiba in the 1970s. Or Japan had Yuriko Koike, who helmed Tokyo during the 2020 Olympics. Apart from being strong, achievement-oriented personalities, all these names were all backed by long tenures and enormous authority at their command to convert their vision into reality. That's the reason, perhaps, a strong mayor with extensive executive powers is the most followed model in much of Europe and Americas. There's a reason why in the developed world there's a preponderance of the mayor serving as the CEO of the city. Apart from the veneer of decentralized democracy that it gives to the third tier of governance, it serves the more important function of having a linchpin where the buck stops. India, as we know, is a different story. Madhya Pradesh is the only state in the country that has constitutional but limited devolution of executive powers to the mayor or municipality president. Rest of the country has mayors as rubber stamps of parties in power with a nexus of corporators or councillors and the contractor ecosystem holding urban governance to ransom. The structure of governance itself lends to a messy multiplicity of authorities. Look at a city like Bengaluru, for example. While the municipal body has limited mandate over solid waste management, roads, street lights, municipal markets, primary education and health services, etc., water supply is handed to Water Supply and Sewerage Board. Land use and planning comes under Land Development Authority. City buses under another body. Then there's an independent authority for slum areas development, an independent company that runs the metro. It's a mesh of unconnected, disjointed bureaucracies that work to keep India's Silicon Valley going or drowning in rains. Make your pick. This exact same story gets repeated across the country. No wonder urban governance is in deep mess, where more often than not, left hand does not know what the right is doing. This functional malady is compounded by fiscal emasculation, which the 16th Finance Commission has tried to retrieve, but that will take time. India's 2047 Viksit Bharat vision needs Viksit cities and metros which can stand on their feet. We are targeting to host the 2036 Olympics. There's this little-known aspect of Olympics. They are hosted by cities and not national governments. That's why you have Los Angeles or Munich or Tokyo Olympics and not American or German or Japanese Olympics. And that's why we might have Ahmedabad Olympics, not India Olympics. Cities contribute over 65% of India's GDP, and that's where 1/3 of India lives. If we follow the mayor and council system with a directly elected mayor in at least top 20 metros of India, then some amelioration of the situation could be possible. There would be sons and daughters of the cities with stakes in the long-term progress of their hometown. And in the bargain, India would be getting a big talent pool trained in good governance for national leadership. Worth a try. Moving on to the next one. January saw a dozen-odd world leaders make a beeline for Beijing. The nations ranged from Uruguay in Latin America to South Korea in the Far East. But guess what? There was a commonality. They're all former allies of the United States. Take that bit about being former allies in jest. These are allies, of course, strong ones, and would remain culturally, geopolitically, and geoeconomically pivoted to Uncle Sam for a long time to come. Let's run the list with pictures of the respective visiting heads of governments with Xi Jinping. President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada, Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom, President Lee Jae-myung of South Korea, Alexander Stubb of Finland, Michael Martin, the Prime Minister of Ireland, Johan Vadeful, the Foreign Minister of Germany. He was prepping for his Chancellor Friedrich Merz's visit to Beijing this month. President Orsi of Uruguay. If diplomacy is about optics, then Xi Jinping and his area of influence has ballooned this January. These pictures of the Beijing pit stop are evidence that there's a serious realignment happening of geopolitical forces that can leave America searching for friends. Macron got the best access of them all. Xi accompanied the French president to Sichuan on a tourist visit, a privilege extended to a few. No American president has got this in recent memory. Prime Minister Modi, of course, was taken to his hometown Xi'an by Xi back in 2015. Macron carried 40 French CEOs with him in his entourage. Though only a couple of deals were signed, he did make a point to the Americans, that is. German Foreign Minister Johann Vadeful followed, and then Keir Starmer was next. Though little subdued, even embarrassing on optics, with Starmer having left alone with a tourist guide to wander through the Forbidden City on his own, the British Prime Minister cut some substantial business deals, including Chinese automaker Chery announcing to headquarter its European operations in Liverpool, and Lububu doll maker Pop Mart setting up its headquarters in London and not mainland Europe. The Chinese sweetened the deal further by halving the duties on scotch and whiskies for the Brits, even as British pharma giant AstraZeneca landed drug deals worth Euro 15 billion for the Chinese market. Mark Carney of Canada also trooped down to Beijing before swinging by Davos for that famous address, which is now being billed as the present equivalent of the Iron Curtain speech in terms of its geopolitical significance. It is the most open acknowledgement yet of the fracture in the transatlantic alliance, ironically enunciated by Canada more strongly than mainland Europe. Just a short clip of Carney's Davos address here.
Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. But I'd also say that great powers can afford for now to go it alone. They have the market size, the military capacity, and the leverage to dictate terms. Middle powers do not. But when we only negotiate bilaterally with a hegemon, we negotiate from weakness. We accept what's offered. We compete with each other to be the most accommodating. This is not sovereignty. It's the performance of sovereignty while accepting subordination.
President Trump threatened Canada with punitive 100% tariffs if Ottawa cut a trade deal with Beijing. But as if to rub it in, Carney ticked off Trump from inside the House of Commons.
Canada and the United States have built a remarkable partnership in the economy, in security, and in rich cultural exchange. But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
A Financial Times report gave more reasons behind Carney's toughening posture. America was perhaps actively promoting secessionist forces in the nation's Alberta province. The Canadian and British leaders' trips are the first in at least 8 years, while the visit by Ireland's Prime Minister Martin was the first in 14 years to China. Countries that shunned China for the last few years due to COVID and its trade dispute with the United States, or have sided with Washington in its war of hegemony with Beijing, are now sending their leaders for meetings with President Xi and are keen to strike business deals again. Almost all of this has to do with President Trump's tariff wars. As the Davos speeches of Macron, Merz, and Ursula von der Leyen exemplify, Europe is reassessing its America ties on economic and security concerns. The China pivot is part of that pragmatic realization. This might not yet be a strategic pivot. These visits might just reflect managed selective resets under the weight of rising US policy uncertainty, but opens up tremendous lateral space for Chinese diplomacy coming out of COVID isolation. From disengagement to China +1 to re-engagement. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for a hemmed-in Beijing. Irony of the pivot. Like India, the UK, Canada, both count the United States as their largest trading partner, yet are forced to engage with Beijing. In a way, it's tragic, for this recalibration crosses over from values-based alliance to one which is purely transactional, hedging of bets. For those who painstakingly built those bridges of trust, diplomacy, people, and nurtured sinews of trade based on those values, are left to look for alternatives. The Canadian delegation to Beijing was carrying burner phones over fears of hacking by the Chinese. That's the level of trust or mistrust. But still, in the case of Europe, it has been particularly painful for obvious reasons. This might still not be China at the expense of the United States. There is clarity among Europe's leaders that China is a three-legged problem. It is a rival, a competitor, and a partner, all at the same time. But post the Greenland fiasco, every leader in Europe has realized that slightly less reliance on the United States, even as not total reliance on China, is not a bad idea. Just enough of a swing to send a message to DC to stop swinging this wrecking ball. And aren't we seeing the impact already? past fortnight, the EU leadership was chief guest at the Republic Day event, and the mother of all deals was announced in New Delhi. Complete with ceremonial pomp and state banquets, the pictures from Raisina and Kartavya Path perhaps gave such FOMO to DC that the call Lutnick said PM Modi never made finally came from Trump. India and the United States agreed for the trade deal that pegs reciprocal tariffs at 18% against the punitive 50% before. Also, headlines miss the very important fact of President Trump not mentioning India-Pakistan ceasefire in his post or since. Also, the statement from the State Department after Marco Rubio's meeting with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on the sidelines of Pax Silica Summit in Washington had Quad back on the agenda. And while on Pax Silica, remember those pictures of failed Marshal Asim Munir hawking rare earth minerals at the White House? Guess what? Pakistan was absent from the minerals summit of the Trump administration. Things finally seem to be back on an even keel insofar as the India-United States relationship is concerned. Elsewhere, the two dog sleds are idling with no signs of American GIs. All is quiet on the Western Front. You get the drift. We move on to the next one.
I propose to provide tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India. It will, however, need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity.
This was India making that big leap of faith on the nuts and bolts of the Industrial Revolution 5.0, with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announcing a 21-year tax holiday till 2047 for foreign companies setting up data centers in India. Artificial intelligence technologies are built on the foundation of energy-guzzling compute power. The humongous data that gets generated needs giga-scale storage. Global data center capacity stands at about 125 gigawatts today and is expected to double by 2030. India, which generates roughly 20% of world's data with its 1 billion plus internet users, is woefully short on storage capacity at about 1.5 gigawatts.